Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the organizer, I would like to remind you are background to the FIMS. Please mute your microphone. I would like to reduce interference and distraction during this program. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, guests and audience. We are about to begin our ceremony. Please have a seat and make yourself comfortable. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good morning to our respected panel, Dr. Junaidah binti Abu Suman, and my fellow university mates from the Faculty of Economy and Muamalat and representatives from other faculties and universities. All praises towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us a chance to gather virtually through this Zoom platform to participate in this FIMS 2022 program with the title of An Overview and Regulations of Islamic Capital Market. I, Ilya Ishra binti Muhammad Asri, will accompany you throughout this session as your moderator for this morning. Before we go through to our topic, I would like to formally introduce you a little insight of our panel's career path. Dr. Junaidah first embarked on a journey for knowledge expansion by taking a degree in Muamalat Administration, and since then continued her journey on Islamic finance for her master's degree and PhD. On completing her studies, she utilizes her knowledge by working as BIMB and MASB. In the method to engage with her students, Dr. Junaidah puts a lot of effort into her teaching by embracing creativity and innovation. In addition to that, she also actively participated in various research and consultations. Her expertise encompasses publishing journals, writing chapters, and e-chapter in numerous books. She also had more than 10 papers presented in various conferences. Besides, Dr. Junaidah became a lifetime member for Malaysian Muamalat Association and also a member of various professional bodies. She also had won many honors and awards with her effort and energy spent on the path of the knowledge. Without further ado, I would like to invite our respected panel, Dr. Junaidah binti Abu Suman, to deliver her talk on the topic of an overview and regulations of Islamic capital market. As a reminder to all participants, there will be 10 to 15 minutes of Q&A session with the panel. During this time, participants may ask anything regarding today's topic. Now, let's welcome Dr. Junaidah. The floor is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you so much, our moderator today, okay, Ms. Ilya, for a very good introduction, as well as, introduction to our session today. Okay, introduce myself to all the participants. Okay, on behalf of Faculty of Economics and Muamalat and USIM in general, I would like to humbly welcome all of you for today's program that's been organized by our secretariat, student secretariat of Faculty of Economics and Muamalat, together organized by various universities from a few of other countries, Alhamdulillah. Okay, before we start, let me share my slide. Okay. Can you see my slide?
Yes, Doctor. Very clear.
Okay, right. Alhamdulillah. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Amin. All right. So I'm congratulate to all the committees, okay, to organize this very prestige program, okay, organized by students with collaboration with various universities from various countries, and it is very interesting that for this year's themes, we focusing on the Islamic capital market. And I'm very honored to be part of the program to fulfill the first slot, which is title topic that given to me is an overview and regulations of Islamic capital market. Hopefully with this very first topic on this Islamic capital market itself, will give you an overall picture what would be Islamic capital market is, and it hopefully can give you the idea on what's the next topic that inshallah we're going to discuss. Okay, all right. So these are our agendas, okay, for today's slot. Okay, so the first one, I will briefly go to the introduction. Okay, the second part, I would like to give you the helicopter view of what is Islamic capital market, to know what it is originated from. Okay, so that we can appreciate what is Islamic capital market is. Okay, and then we move to the main core of this topic, which are overview and regulations of Islamic capital market. And last but not least, as mentioned by the moderator just now, we would have a brief Q&A session, inshallah. Okay, so all right, before we start, how are you guys today? All of you are good? Are you ready to start with the session?
Yes, madam.
Good, alhamdulillah.
Okay, alhamdulillah. Okay, I've been informed that there are more than 19 participants, basically including from Malaysia, Indonesia, Brunei, Gambia, Nigeria, Somalia, and also Turkey. Okay, so hopefully this is my slot would be not really one-way communication. It might be if there is anything in between that you might raise your comment, your concern, or anything else you want to share with me, okay, to share with the audience, you feel free to do that, okay? All right. Yeah. I treat this one as a sharing session, okay, not from me myself, okay, from all of you also, because it is good to have exchange information and knowledge from the various participants from these various countries, alhamdulillah, inshallah. All right, to start with the introduction, okay, I would like to refresh about the components of Islamic finance itself. Okay, definitely most of us are very familiar when we talk about Islamic banking, right? And when we talk about Islamic insurance, and some of us already heard about what the term Islamic money and capital market, as well as Islamic social finance. Okay, so it just to give us a refresh and recap that Islamic capital market itself, this component is basically under the umbrella of Islamic finance. It is integrated, okay, between all the other components or sectors under Islamic finance itself. Okay, these four big components here, okay, will made up the what we call the Islamic finance sector. Okay, so what we're gonna learn today, what we're gonna dive in today is more on the one component of Islamic finance, which is Islamic capital market. All right, so that's a very brief introduction to recap, okay, on the components of Islamic finance, right? So we move to the a helicopter view on what is Islamic capital market, as I mentioned earlier. Okay, so as we know, we born as a Muslim, right? So as a Muslim, we are very fortunate to have Islam as our religion. And having Islam as our religion, okay, there are three basic elements that we need to adhere to in our daily activities, in our daily, kind of communication, transaction with the various parties. These three big components involve our Aqidah, Sharia, as well as Akhlaq. And when we talk about something related to our communication with others, okay, it is must be bounded within the Sharia itself. Okay, what we call the famous term, okay, Islam is Islamic, is a way of life. Okay, so when we talk about Islam is a way of life, what bounded us as Islam is a way of life? It is under Sharia. And when we talk about Sharia, okay, there are two basic elements, okay, that made up what is Sharia is, which are ibadah as well as muamalah. Okay, when we talk about ibadah, it is basically our our activities, our with basically be it individual aspect or in terms of the community aspect. When we talk about niyah, all of them become ibadah. And when we talk about our relationship between human and human, okay, ibadah is most of the time we are talking about man to God, okay, man to God. But when we talk about muamalah, it is about man to man, how we interact with others by adhere to this so-called Sharia itself. Okay, when we talk about Islamic capital market, what do you think? It is, okay, in general, yes, when we involve in Islamic capital market, we basically general understanding, yes, with the good niyyah, it would be sort of ibadah to us. Okay, but when we talk about we involve in the Islamic capital market, we basically involved with man-to-man interaction, okay, which is fall under muamalat. Okay, fall under muamalat. We will deal with various parties, okay, not only individual but also institutions, okay, and also the association, organization, and so on. So when we talk about Islamic capital market, it is fall under muamalah concept, okay, under Islam. All right. When we zoom in again under muamalah in Islam, we basically have three main activities which are fall under political, social, or economic activities. Okay, so these man-to-man kind of interactions can be manifested in these three main areas. Okay, so what do you think? Islamic capital market is fall under which activities here? We are talking about political, social, or economic. Anyone?
Economic, social.
Economic.
Yes, correct. So basically when we talk about Islamic capital market, it is basically fall under economic activities, okay, where we later on we will discuss in detail, inshallah, okay, where we have lots of instruments to buy and sell, okay. So that is more on the economic activities, okay, that at the end of the day will help to boost the economic situation in our countries. Okay, so when we talk about economic activities, specifically we can look into the area of banking or other financial activities. Okay, so this is where today's topic come, okay, which is Islamic capital market that we want to highlight today, okay, in this very first slot. Okay, so here the main takeaway here in terms of this ICM as a helicopter view, I want to show that to you guys that this Islamic capital market is not something alien in Islam. Okay, of course, the root, the origin of this so-called Islamic capital market itself is Islam. Okay, even the name itself, we have the term Islamic in front of the term capital market itself. Okay, so the chronology, okay, the chronology of why in the first place, okay, we have this Islamic capital market, we can trace back to the one that I've been highlighted here. Okay, it is basically under banking and financial activities which govern the economic activities. And this is, of course, under muamalat aspect, which is must be, beyond the Sharia parameter. And when we talk about Sharia, it is the main element that constitute what is Islam. Okay, so that would be a holistic view on why we also have this Islamic capital market. All right. Okay. So next, okay, when we look into specifically on the economic activities, okay, when we talk about Islamic finance, we must know that our mother, okay, the mother of Islamic finance is Islamic economics. Okay, what is Islamic economics? Islamic economics is a discipline that applies the injunctions of the Sharia or Islamic laws in dealing with the allocation of scarce resources for individual and collective achievement of spiritual, moral, and material well-being. When we talk about Islamic economics, most of the time we are referring to the theoretical aspect of how to achieve Islamic economics, right? How to really, embed this theoretical of Islamic economics towards the, the development, okay, of Islamic finance itself. So this theoretical aspect of Islamic economics become the foundation of why we having Islamic finance. Because of why Islamic finance would be the practical applications of the Islamic economics. How to achieve this thing? How to achieve the welfare or the objective of having profit maximization in Islamic perspective, how to achieve this social welfare of the society. When we talk in Islamic economics, how we want to achieve this theoretical aspect of the Islamic economics by having Islamic finance. Remember the components of Islamic finance, we have four basic components. Okay, by having this Islamic banking, okay, takaful or Islamic insurance, Islamic social finance, as well as Islamic money and capital market, then we can realize, make all this Islamic economic come into a real action. Okay, and how to make this Islamic finance in reality. Okay, so how this Islamic finance gonna work? By utilizing all those Islamic financial instruments that been offered in the Islamic finance. Okay, so if you look into the components earlier that I showed you in the introduction, okay, Islamic financial instruments in the Islamic banking. Okay, there are specific instruments for Islamic banking, specific instruments for the takaful, Islamic insurance, for social finance, they have specific instruments, and also for the Islamic capital market, we have our own unique financial instruments, how to make them, work in a real financial system, right? Okay, so we talk about Islamic finance, okay, just now. Okay, so Islamic finance cannot really well function if we don't have this so-called well structure of financial system. Okay, what is financial system? Okay, financial system acts as a mechanism that transfers fund from the party with excess fund, which we call them as a surplus unit, to the party that needs the fund, that we call them as deficit unit. Okay, so in general, financial system facilitates financial transactions that generate economic growth at the end of the day. So we need this system in order for us to materialize this Islamic finance. Okay, under financial system, okay, for the overall country, okay, it is, based on these three basic system, okay, which consists of banking system, non-banking system, and financial market. Okay, regardless of any country, whether it is the dominant is the majority is Muslim or not, okay, most of the country will have these three components of financial system, okay, banking system, non-banking system, and financial market. What consists under all these three? Okay, let's have a look. Okay, so the financial system, when we talk about financial system just now, we're talking about banking system. Okay, this is in the case of Malaysia. Of course, we have the Central Bank of Malaysia. And I believe each country, they have their own central bank. Okay, so their own central bank become the main player in the banking system of that particular country. And of course, this banking system, it will have different kind of banking institutions. As we can see here, come from commercial banks, okay, finance companies, merchant banks, as well as Islamic bank itself, okay. And then we do have under banking system, discount houses, representative offices of foreign banks. Okay, how about non-banking financial intermediaries? Okay, so this is not fall under banking, of course, okay. This will include all those provident and pension funds, okay, the insurance and takaful companies, other development finance institutions, saving institution, and others. Okay, this one also it depends on the different countries, what the institution that fall under non-banking institutions, right? Okay, so what we're gonna focus today or in this program is something that fall under financial market here. Okay, as mentioned earlier, on top of capital market, we do have other financial markets, which consists of money and foreign exchange market, derivative market, and offshore market. Okay, so where can we find Islamic capital market then? Anyone?
In capital market, in financial market?
Yeah, fall under financial market. And when we talk about Islamic capital market, of course, we will have the discussion under capital market. Okay, so as you can see, okay, there is very comprehensive financial system, and Islamic capital market is part of it. But it is very significant because all the transactions, all the connection, relationship between banking system, non-banking system, somehow they interact. Okay, they interact each other, having their businesses, their investments, okay, their fundings, and so on through the capital market. Okay, so it is very important or essential to have this capital market, okay, financial market, to ensure that the money mobilized within this financial institution can be, utilized, being traded, okay, can be, transfer from the surplus unit to the deficit unit. Okay, so where it happened, at this place, financial market. Okay, and capital market has its own unique characteristic. How this can be fulfill the needs and demands from these financial institutions to raise their capital, to make the investment, and so on. All right, so that's going to be sort of general structure of financial system and where we will find the ICM. All right, so just to share with you, in the case of Malaysia, okay, we have dual financial system. What does that mean? We have the Islamic as well as conventional, which do their activity in parallel way. Okay, we have the Islamic and we have the conventional. We do it together in parallel way. Okay, that is dual financial system. Most of countries, okay, somehow if they have so-called the Islamic sector, Islamic finance sector, okay, if the Muslim is not the majority, they will fall under another terminology, which is Islamic windows. Okay, they have the conventional system, and then they embed the Islamic system in that particular system. That is Islamic window. Okay, and also we have a country that fully adopt Islamic financial system. For example, Iran. Okay, to the best of my knowledge, okay, Iran is the only country in the world that practice whole Islamic financial system. Okay, for dual financial system, for example, Malaysia and also Indonesia. The participant from Indonesia, you may actually share with us your experience later on. Okay, like siblings, having this so-called dual financial system. Okay, and of course, to have a very efficient of Islamic financial system, it must be supported from various factors. Take for example, robust legal and regulatory framework. That is why, okay, in the next session, we will look into this regulatory framework. Okay, integrated human capital infrastructure. Yes, we talk about the human capital, how to sustain this capital market. Okay, by having this very talented human capital. Okay, our university students are actually being molded by all your programs to become somebody. Okay, to become somebody in the sector, basically to become expert, okay, in the Islamic finance. If let's say your interest is more on the Islamic capital markets, you can pursue your career later on in this area, inshallah. Okay, when we have also diversified players with wide-ranging products. Okay, we look in brief later on in a few slides. Okay, and then professional services with familiarity on Islamic finance. Okay, of course, to support, okay, later on the Islamic capital market, we need to have these professional services in terms of underwriting, in terms of to provide the professional advice and so on. Okay. Okay. Before we move into the overview of Islamic capital market per se, okay, I would like to share with you this information, okay, so that we have a clear picture. When we talk about capital market, it is not an ordinary market itself. It is a very, a unique, complex, and comprehensive market, and how it relate to the real sector in the economy itself. Okay, all right. In the real sector, we have so many, different kind of sector: manufacturing, okay, agriculture, F&B, food and beverages, technology, okay, oil and gas, and so on. Okay, all this real sector, we made up the overall country's economy, right? Okay, it depends on different countries. Okay, some countries, the dominant real sector that boost the economy would be oil and gas. Some of the country would be agriculture sector. Okay, some of the country would be the manufacturing sector. Okay, so regardless all these sectors, okay, somehow this sector, within this sector, we have this surplus unit and deficit units. Who are the surplus unit and deficit units? As mentioned earlier, okay, so because when we talk about the financial system, we want to mobilize, right? Mobilize the all the investment, the money from the surplus. Surplus means the one that have extra money, of course, when we talk about surplus, right? It could be from the individuals, household, okay? It could be from corporate or other institutions or organization. It could be also government. Okay, government itself, okay, need to they have extra money, okay, and then we do have foreign investor. Okay, at the deficit unit, the parties involved are the same. Okay, it comes from this household, corporate, government, and also foreign investor. Okay, this is how, okay, how the surplus unit, okay, so when we talk about surplus unit, they have the extra money, okay, they have the extra money in some way, okay, it is not good in a very simple analogy, right? We have money, extra money. If we put under our pillow at home, do the money can be, increase or not? No, right? So in the mind that we want to have more saving, okay, to have more return, somehow we want to invest our money so that we can gain extra money to to support as for individuals to support our living, as for the institutions to to have extra money to run the businesses, okay, for government at least to to have extra money to cover all the projects, okay. And the foreign investor, yes, we talk about they also need to extra saving, extra return from whatever money they have, okay. So with the surplus unit here, okay, we talk about deficit unit, there are also individuals, organization, corporate that need this kind of investment for them to if for example we talk about corporate, okay, institutions or businesses, okay, they need extra money. They need to expand their business somehow, but in a particular time they lack of money, they lack of capital. So what they can do, they can meet together, okay, through this so-called financial sector here, okay. That is where the capital markets, okay, involved, okay. They can gain extra money that they want from the surplus unit, of course, through all the instruments that I mentioned earlier, okay. They can participate, they can involve this capital market to have the money from the surplus unit using various instruments that been provided in the capital market, whether it is indirect financing or direct financing. What it means with indirect financing, which if this deficit unit, for example, okay, they go through the any of financial institution as the intermediary, so that would be indirect financing, okay. You have the financial intermediaries that helped you, okay, to match between your needs and wants with the surplus unit. For the direct financing, okay, on instead of you go through any of financial intermediaries, you can actually directly involve in the capital market by putting your money. Of course, you need to have this account, okay, investment account, and you can direct buy and sell any of instrument that provided by the surplus unit. For example, stock, okay, share, a bond by the government. You can just directly, okay, buy the sukuk, okay, from the government, okay. So that we call direct financing. So of course, there will be pro and cons having this indirect and direct financing, okay. Okay, let's move to the next one. Okay, so the previous part would be provide you guys with all the necessary foundations before we really focusing or discuss the overview of Islamic capital market. Hopefully you can get the idea, okay. What are the elements that made up Islamic capital market? Okay, Islamic capital market is not standalone itself. They need so-called support. They have a financial system itself, Islamic financial system, okay. And from the Islamic financial system, remember we have different kind of parties. These different kind of parties, basically either from the deficit units or the surplus unit, okay, that they want to participate in a market, okay, that we call the capital market. All right, what we call the Islamic capital market. All right. Before we move to the Islamic capital market, I would like to give a brief, information, okay, or differentiation between capital market and money market. Okay, alhamdulillah, maybe most of you already have familiar with these words. Okay, might give you just a brief one when we talk about, because it is under financial market. Remember the one that I gave you earlier, the framework of the financial system. We have the banking, non-banking, and financial market. Under financial market, most of the time money market. Okay, but of course, these two markets are different in some ways. Okay, these are amongst the main differences between these two, capital market and money market. Again, it's the same. The mechanism is the same. The operation is the same. Where we have the surplus unit, we have the deficit unit. Okay, please keep that in mind. Okay, so that made up the market itself. Okay, to meet the supply and demand. Okay, just remember the simple analogy. Okay, most of you have been to the wet market, for example. Okay, wet market where you can find all those meat, chicken, vegetables, what else, fruits. Okay, in this one whole big market, there are sections to sell meat, okay, chicken, vegetables, fruits, and other kind of dry food and whatsoever. So the same goes to this financial market. Okay, under big financial market, there are section for the capital market, section for the money market, section for the as mentioned earlier, derivative market, and so on. It made up the financial market. Okay, so just imagine in that very simple example given to you earlier. So that, because I believe that each of us ever been to any of wet market, right? So if you enter to any wet market, you will find a different portion, different partition of the market itself. The same goes to financial market. Okay, when you enter financial market, here you can find capital market, money market, derivative market, and so on. So when we talk about capital market, back to this slide, most of the time we are talking about these two, okay, capital market and money market. When we talk about capital market, bear in mind, okay, it is a financial market where long-term capital, which is more than 1 year, are traded. Okay, so what are they? Inshallah, okay, the examples of the instrument will be given to you in the next slide. Okay, so where this is where all the instrument being traded for more than 1 year. Okay, so it is a long-term capital as compared to money market. It is a short-term capital which is being traded less than 1 year. Okay, so it is important to have this money market because some of the, especially the financial institution, they need instant cash. Okay, they need the liquidity in daily basis. Okay, in daily basis for the daily operation, so they can go to the money market. While if they want to have, higher return on their capital to be invested, they actually need to choose the capital market because it will facilitate of transfer of fund in long term, and it provide the parties involved with the higher return as compared to money market, okay, which is give us lower return as compared to capital market. With the long-term capital, okay, which been traded more than 1 year, of course, it is more risky, right? Because when our money be invested in a particular instrument more than 1 year, it is riskier for us to wait, right? For 1 year, whether we can get back our, for example, 1,000 ringgit. Okay, 1,000 ringgit, we need to wait for 1 year and more in order for us to get back the 1,000 plus any return. So it is high risk, right? So in Islam, it is recognizable that high risk, high return. Okay, so it is our effort to wait for longer term, which is high risk in terms of the, there are lots of risks that could happen within 1 year and more for our money, to be invested in this instrument. Okay, we have market risk and so on. So with high risk, inshallah, we will get with high return. And yeah, it is not, you cannot achieve that if you invest in money market. Okay, it is because some of the instrument under money market is even in overnight. I mean, it is being invested overnight, daily basis. So you can invest, for example, 1,000 ringgit today after the operating hour, okay, close, and then whether you get the return, you can get in daily basis, but it is not as much as you invest in the capital market. All right. Okay. So, what is Islamic capital market then? Okay. You've been, a lot hearing about financial system, non-banking, banking, and investment market, and it made up the capital market itself. Okay, so what is Islamic capital market then? Okay, Islamic capital market, we can define it as a market where the capital market transactions, operations, and activities are carried out according to Sharia principle and requirements. Of course, that will be the main highlight here. Okay, according to Sharia principle and requirements. Remember the Islamic capital market, based on the helicopter view. Okay, the basis, the origin of the Islamic capital market, when we talk about Islam itself. So when we talk about Islam, it is bounded to the Sharia principles and requirements. And the term Islamic has been added to the term capital market to emphasize the fact that transaction within such a market must be free from the involvement of prohibited activities in Islam. Okay, so just a quick question among all the participants. When we talk about prohibited activities in Islam, okay, by right, hopefully all of you are very familiar with Islamic finance, inshallah. Okay, if let's say it is not, just raise your hand and say that I'm very totally new in this term of Islamic finance, kindly let me know. Okay, so we talk about Islamic finance. Okay, Islamic finance. Okay, and under Islamic finance, we have Islamic capital market. Of course, when we talk about prohibited activities in Islam, are the same. Okay, so any of you want to share with us what are those prohibited activities in Islam? Anyone? Anyone? It's good to have two-way communication so that I know that I'm not talking alone here. Anyone want to share with us?
Riba.
Gambling.
Good. Some of them, one of you mentioned about riba. Okay, riba is the interest. Number two is, I heard someone mention about gambling, maisir. Very well done. What else?
Horror.
Gharar, which means uncertainty. That these three are the basic prohibited elements in Islam. Okay, I repeat, which are the interest, okay, riba, okay, gharar, okay, gharar, which means uncertainty. Okay, we need to avoid any transactions that have the uncertainty element. Okay, and the third one we are talking about maisir, gambling. Okay, it is also something that we just gamble anything that gonna happen in the future that we don't know the real picture of that event in the future. So it is not, it is prohibited, not allowed in Islam. Okay, so the same goes to the ICM, Islamic capital market. When we talk about Islamic capital market, all the activities that govern in this capital market itself must shy away from these prohibited activities. Okay, and of course there's also other activities that involve the alcohol, with the tobacco, what else? in a few other sectors, which is also not allowed. And if you look into all those activities directly, they will fall under these three big main prohibited activities in Islam. That's why it is not allowed, okay, being traded in Islamic capital market. Okay, so again, just to refresh, to emphasize that the existence of Islamic capital market, by no doubt, must be come from the Sharia sources. We talk about all the elements embedded in Islamic capital market must come from these two main sources in Islam, which consists of primary sources and secondary sources. Of course, under primary sources, we have Al-Quran, yeah, and also As-Sunnah, okay, the tradition of our Prophet Muhammad SAW, and backup and supported by various of secondary sources, which these are the four main secondary sources that most of the time govern the rules and regulation under Islamic capital market, as well as other sector. I mean the banking sector, the takaful sector, the Islamic social finance sector. Okay, all of the components of Islamic finance must be based on the Sharia sources. Sharia become the bedrock of the activities. So by hook by crook, we must follow all these Sharia sources in whatever decision, whatever interaction that we do in the capital market must be governed by these two sources of Sharia. Okay. All right. When we talk about Sharia sources just now, that is why we extract the Sharia parameters to be to us to govern all the activities that we do under Islamic capital market. Okay, all those Sharia sources just now. What we take from the Sharia sources to govern the Islamic capital market, of course, there must be Sharia parameters that we take out from the sources just now, and we have a look on the aspect of the contracts. Okay, after the contracts that that bind all the parties involved. Okay, all the parties involved in the capital market. Remember, we have surplus and deficit unit. Whatever it is, whoever are there, they are actually bounded under some of the contracts. Okay, some of the Islamic Sharia contracts. Okay, and the Sharia parameters must be adhered to these three basic elements, which are mutual consent, no prohibited elements just now, and we have the lawful objective or purpose. When we talk about mutual consent, we must ensure that all the transaction, they have no coercion, fraud, mispresentation, okay, influence or mistake, and etc. When we talk about no prohibited element, as mentioned earlier. And in terms of lawful objective purpose, yes, that is what we mentioned earlier about the niyah. Okay, the niyat, okay, the intention must to fulfill the objective of Sharia. Okay, the fulfill of the objective of Sharia, or in other words, be some of you familiar with this word, maqasid Sharia. Okay, maqasid Sharia, what we mentioned by Imam Al-Ghazali, based on the 5 main objective of Sharia. Okay, in terms of aqal, okay, in terms of nafs, in terms of wealth, in terms of nasab, and last but not least, in terms of ad-din, yang first, which is the first one just now, should be the din. Okay, to safeguard the din, okay, to safeguard the aqal, the nasl or nasab, to safeguard the wealth, okay, the mal, and to safeguard the what the fifth one just now. Yeah, all the 5 things. Okay, when we mention about Islamic capital market, most of the time we are referring to the objective of safeguard the mal, okay, the wealth, okay, our Muslim wealth. Okay, all right. So in Islamic finance, this is very important verse. Okay, as we as a Muslim, okay, we need to really understand this ayah. Okay, A'udzubillahi minasyaitonir rajim. Wa ahallallahu al-bai'a wa harrama riba. Okay, so the translation is that, but Allah has permitted trade and has forbidden interest. Okay, only one thing that Allah forbid, which is the interest, but the rest we can do. Permitted trade. Trade can be manifested in different ways. Okay, and Alhamdulillah in Islam we have so many contracts to support our trade activities. These are among others. Okay, murabaha, mudharabah, musyarakah, ijara, salam, istisna, tawarruk, wa'ad, wakalah. Okay, so these Sharia contracts also become the backbones of the operations in the Islamic capital market. Okay, so instead of, you know, under conventional, all of them we are talking about interest. Okay, but here in Islam we need to really avoid interest, okay, the riba, but we can do so many things, so many other kind of contracts to raise the capital, to gain the profit, to have the return. Okay, so that's the beauty of it. Okay, in Islam we have so different kind of Sharia contract. I will not go into detail of this Sharia contracts. Okay, just to give you that the idea of we are very fortunate, okay, to have the Sharia contracts that govern the activities, okay, in the Islamic capital market. It will take a longer time if we look into each of these Sharia contracts, but of course each of these Sharia contracts, okay, there will be a different kind of involvement of the parties involved, the risk involved, okay, between the parties will be different with different kind of Sharia contract. And of course under Islam, as we know, the interest riba only one party, okay, involved, so-called give the money, and the rest, and the other one just so-called, just sit and wait for the money to, to double up. But not in Islam. Islam, the party involved must have their own risk, their own role and responsibility when they involve in these different kind of contracts. Then that is why it is permitted to have these different kind of contracts, okay? Because all the parties involved are not just sit down and wait for the money to increase. No, okay? They have their own role and also risk that they need to bear. Okay, next. So at the end of the day, okay, I just want to highlight again, why do we need Islamic capital market then? Okay, this is very important for you to get a clear, crystal idea. Okay, why do we need Islamic capital market? Of course, remember in a real life, we have this so-called surplus and deficit unit. Okay, so the deficit units are very, really dire need of fund or capital to fulfill their demand. And there's also in this world that party that have extra money that they could help the deficit unit, and at the same time they can earn more if they actually help this deficit money by having more return, inshallah. Okay, so as mentioned earlier, to meet the demand and supply of goods and services, okay, complementary roles to banking and takaful sector. Yes, this is very true as mentioned earlier. Okay, the banking and takaful sector somehow they need to sustain their operation. Bahu baku, okay, how to to mitigate the risk of bankruptcy and so on. They invest money. By invest the money, they have more return. They can get more profit. Then all this money can they can use to manage the company efficiently. Diversification of risk. Yes, when we talk about diversification of risk, yeah, the risk we as individual person, okay, put our money, deposit our money in the bank using deposit account bank is different with the risk that we when we invest our money in this capital market. Okay, if we put our money in the deposit account, okay, in the Islamic bank, somehow the hibah in Islam we call it hibah, or the profit rate given to us a very not a huge one. Okay, if you want a higher return, most of the time they will opt to have this involved in the Islamic capital market with various of risks through the instruments given and variety of type of return that you can get from. Okay, and then next one, availability of liquidity through secondary debt trading. Okay, liquidity means the simple explanation is that we want to get instant cash or cash. Okay, so when we buy stock from company A, and then we can even sell the stock back in the secondary market to have extra money. You buy the share, for example, with one ringgit, and then you sell back when the price is higher. For example, 1.50, you can get the return from the buy and selling through this secondary trading, that you can get instant cash from the activities. Okay, and then we have at the end of the day, can create various financial services that contributes to the economic growth of the country. Okay, so it is essential, right, to have this Islamic capital market. Okay, so these are the components of Islamic capital market. Okay, we have equity market, sukuk market, and hedging market. Okay, earlier if you can remember, under financial market we have derivative market, right? So in Islam, most of the time we are the derivative market is not really that Islamic. So what we use the derivative market is for the hedging purpose, okay, to reduce risk, to buy the commodity in the future. That's why here we call it hedging market instead of derivative market. It's more on the gambling. And when we talk about conventional, we fall under gambling activities. Okay, so under equity market, I will also not go into detail because you need extra class or extra slot to give definition, explanation for each of these instruments, okay, or product under equity market, sukuk market, and hedging market. Here under sukuk market, we have share, okay, stocks, equities, stock indexes, okay, investment fund, mutual fund, okay, Islamic real estate investment, Islamic exchange traded funds. Okay, this most of the time our common individuals can trade in the capital market. For the Islamic private equity and venture capital fund and hedge funds, is more to the other segmentation of the market, which is high net worth person, and also with the company with high capital, they can have this kind of product or instrument. And the sukuk market, of course, we have a short and medium and long-term sukuk. Okay, sukuk in another term, normally we call it Islamic bond, but of course, if we talk Islamic capital market, it's good to refer to sukuk. Okay, and under hedging market, we have Islamic hedging instruments and Islamic structured product. This is more innovative products that we have in the capital market. Okay, it is a hybrid product. Okay, hybrid product that combine the equity market with sukuk and sort of derivative. Okay, Islamic way of derivative instrument to come out with the Islamic structured product. Okay, so again, we'll not detail it up. Okay, so it will cost us more time. So inshallah, if there's any more slots after this in the next few programs provided by the organizer, maybe we can, highlight each of the instruments under each market, inshallah. Requisite of Islamic capital market, of course, to ensure that the Islamic capital market can be well functioned, we need to have all this. Okay, Sharia governance framework. Okay, Sharia governance framework, when we talk about, we need to have Sharia advisor and so on. Corporate governance strategies, how we deal with all the parties to have the trust element. Okay, how about the legal regulatory framework, the next session. Okay, and then accounting and taxation framework, yes, how to accommodate the financial statements and also taxation in the capital market, especially when we talk about the investment that occur between countries, between borders. Okay, risk management practices, yes, when we talk about Islamic capital market, there is a lot of risk aspect that we need to take into consideration. So what are those risk management practices need to be highlighted, and of course to ensure that Islamic capital market become the the main highlight in the world financial system. We need to have the product innovation. Okay, we also need infrastructure institutions to support the operation of Islamic capital market and the product standardization. Product standardization is very important because different regions have different Sharia interpretation, Sharia rulings. Okay, somehow like Malaysia, there are rulings that are not being really agreed by the Middle Eastern Sharia advisors. So this product standardization is very important in the future to ensure that this instrument can be mobilized, not locally but also internationally. To give you just an idea about the institution that support financial system, Islamic capital market, here we have International Islamic Fee Academy, IFSB, IOFI, we have IIFM, International Islamic Financial Market, Islamic International Rating Agency, okay, we have Malaysia International Islamic Financial Center, MIFC, and we have the International Sharia Research Academy for Islamic Finance. Okay, these supporting institutions is not only for the providing the standards, the guideline and so on, but also in terms of the research that need to be done from time to time. Okay, so what is the key differences between the conventional and ICN then? Okay, based on the previous explanation on especially on the Sharia bedrock that become the underlying aspect of capital market, I believe that all of you can differentiate between conventional and Islamic capital market in terms of the business activity. We're talking about Sharia compliant business, the use of proceeds, of course, within the Sharia framework. About market exposure, okay, for conventional, of course, Muslim cannot involve, but as for the Islamic capital market, even non-Muslim, in fact, there are increasing numbers of non-Muslim that involved in Islamic capital market. Okay, because there is no restriction. Okay, it is not exclusive to a Muslim only. All right. And of course, when we talk about Islamic capital market, the asset requirement, the backbone of the underlying contract must have the asset. Okay. Okay, just to show you a quick statistic here, okay, on the development of the Islamic capital market in terms of sukuk here. Malaysia become the pioneer as of 2019, followed by USD, Indonesia, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and also Turkey here. And we talk about by structure, Murabahah become the first one, and then followed by Wakalah, Ijarah. Hybrid means a combination of different contracts to offer that particular structure of the scope. Okay, right, and then this one about Islamic funds. Okay, equity become the biggest, followed by the money market and commodity. And this one on about the returns. When we talk about commodity, remember in Sharia perspective, we are talking about the underlying asset. That's why the commodity returns on the commodity based Islamic fund provide higher return as compared to the other kind. Okay, so now having understanding the Islamic capital market, okay, as in general. So now we move to a little bit on the regulation of Islamic capital market. Remember, the requisite of the capital market, one of them is we must have a very good regulation of the Islamic capital market, right? Okay, so if you were my students last semester, I'm talking about this one, okay, due to the time constraint, okay, I just throw you this, sort of cartoon, okay, talk about, well, at least you are not being strangled by a mess of burdensome government regulation. Somehow, of course, some of us, even institutions, okay, they look at regulation as something that, pressure them, okay, pressure them to not to do that, and so on. But in the essence of we as a Muslim itself, we must understand, even Islam provides Sharia. Sharia is sort of, do and don'ts, right? So we need regulation in our life. The same goes to Islamic capital market. For them to develop more, for them to efficiently, operated, okay, because it involves so many parties, right? The deficit units, the surplus unit can be so many various parties involved. So how come we are not agree with having this regulation? Am I right? So regulation is very important to support this ICM. Okay, so when we talk about regulatory framework for ICM, there must be bodies or body that empowered to administer the law and regulation, of course, and this body normally they have they come out with the laws and regulation that applicable to the industry, to the market, and the person who are subject to laws and regulation, of course, the party involved just now, who are the one that involved in capital market. The tribunal vested with the authority to rule and or to adjudicate on issues and dispute. Any issues dispute, yes, we move back to the regulation, right? So as mentioned, under capital market, we have product, activities, infrastructure, and of course, rules become part of it. Okay, important ecosystem. Okay, of the to basically at the end of the day to support or to safeguard all the investors basically, and also the institution. Okay, have a look on this one. I'm sorry if it is too small. Global regulatory framework here, when we talk about capital market authority. Okay, capital market authority here, which means that there are authority that govern capital market personally or standalone. Okay, if you look into, okay, I have a participant here, we have from Brunei, right? So that there is no specific market authority for the capital market, but of course we have the Islamic Bank. Okay, okay, and we have Indonesia. Okay, this one from the ISRA book, okay, the latest one. Okay, and then Indonesia, you have a single authority, okay, which is a combined Islamic bank and capital market. And Malaysia, we have specific on the capital market here. And then Nigeria, okay, you have a specific authority for the capital market. And then Somalia, right? Somalia, you have the single authority we govern both banking and capital. Who else? Turkey, okay. Some of you from Turkey, yeah, you have a specific authority to govern the capital market. So it's good basically to, it's okay if they have single but a clear explanation on the rules and regulation for capital market. And some of the country that even stand alone, okay, authority that really look into the capital market, okay, as I mentioned earlier just now. Okay.
Sorry, Dr. Naida,
Yep.
interrupting you.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to inform that we have less than 5 minutes before we proceed to the Q&A session. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we move to some of the regulatory framework, the international regulatory framework that together govern the Islamic capital market. We have the IOC, IFSB, IFFM. We will look into all the organization briefly. Okay, what is the International Organization of Securities Commission? It is international body that brings together the world security regulators and is recognized as the global standard setter for the securities sector. Okay, so don't worry, we are not alone. Okay, and then under IOC, IOC is a famous institution that govern all the Sharia, accounting, auditing, ethics, and governance. And we have International Islamic Financial Market, okay, that focusing on standardization of Sharia compliant financial contracts and product templates. We do have Islamic Financial Services Board, okay, which promotes and enhances the soundness and stability of the Islamic financial services industry. And then, of course, all the regulation activities under ICM, we fall under this element. We talk about investment advisory, insurance by securities issuers, trading by securities traders, and so on and so forth. Okay, but I want to highlight this one: investor protection through corporate governance and compliance issues. Okay, so this one to give you a brief, an idea, okay, how the framework, the regulatory framework being embedded in a country. Most of the country have this element in their regulatory framework, which consists of licensing, capital market, intermediaries, requirement, acceptable conducts, Sharia compliance and corporate governance, and the infrastructure. Okay, for Islamic capital market, on top of the general regulatory requirement, okay, we have the second tier, okay, which involve the additional Sharia criteria. It is where, okay, the appointment of Sharia advisor, the approval of Sharia advisory council is actually occur in this second tier, okay, to come out with the Islamic capital market. Okay, that's the only thing. And then, of course, in Malaysian case, under the Ministry of Finance, we have specifically Securities Commission, as mentioned earlier, specific body to regulate the capital market. Okay, and of course, for the other countries also, it fall under Ministry of Finance, right? And then there are also authorities and bodies that form and support the regulatory framework. Of course, the statutory authorities, okay, as mentioned earlier, the exchange authorities. Okay, these exchange authorities is somehow, of course, provide locally by the different countries. For Malaysia, we have Bursa Malaysia, where all the exchange activity, buy and sale of the instrument being held. Okay, we have the Bursa Malaysia. For Indonesia, we have the Indonesia Stock Exchange, right? Okay, it is under OJK. Brunei, if I'm not mistaken, is still, inshallah, soon. Okay, they work in progress to have the Brunei Stock Exchange. In Gambia, right now, there is no, to the best of my knowledge, there is no stock exchange yet. For Nigeria, we have Nigerian Exchange Group. Somalia, we have Somali Exchange, Stock Exchange, and for Turkey, we have Bursa Istanbul. So this exchange authority is one of the important bodies that make the Islamic capital market work. Okay, on top of the other organization. These are among all the guidelines, and I believe all the countries that have their own exchange have all these guidelines. Okay, and of course, together with the act that related to the how the Islamic capital market govern. And of course, to have a best practices of Islamic capital market, we need to have centralized Sharia authority and long-term master plan, as well as strong role of rating agencies, which, you know, because for companies to listed in the Bursa, they must have a very good financial track record. So those financial track record, they must, you know, so-called have this kind of rating. All right, so these are among the last topic, just to give you some issues of challenges of the ICM in terms of regulatory framework. We talk about regulatory framework for cross-border transactions. Okay, how Malaysia want to do, if Malaysia, there are parties from Malaysia want to invest in Indonesia, in Turkey, in Brunei. So somehow there are some issues that it is okay to do it here, but not in other countries. Okay, jurisdictional issues that come with the Sharia aspect, Sharia issues, tax issues just now. Okay, different countries have different tax framework need to deal with. And we talk about dispute and mechanism for dispute resolution. That's also sort of important issues to be taken care of. All right, so moderator, if I can have this video for conclusion, may I?
Sure, Doctor.
Okay, last but not least, okay, as a wrap up, please have a look on this video. It is mainly for Malaysian Islamic capital market, but as I mentioned earlier, it also somehow reflect the operation of the capital market worldwide. Okay. Can you hear the video?
Yes, Doctor.
All right.
Very good.
Doctor, I can hear the sound.
Oh, I thought you can hear just now.
Um,
Okay, I think I need to.
Maybe the line is not good.
Okay, hold on. I need to stop share and have a share with the audio. I think I need to share with the sound just now. Can you hear it?
All right. Yes.
Bursa Malaysia was established in 1973 and listed in 2005. It hosts over 900 companies across 60 economic activities. Bursa Malaysia offers a good breadth of investment securities that are listed on the main and ACE market. Bursa Malaysia offers a broad spectrum of products, including equities, derivatives, Islamic and offshore. Malaysian Islamic capital market has generated considerable growth momentum over the last few years, and Bursa Malaysia's intention is to promote Sharia-compliant offerings as an alternative to conventional. More than 70% of companies listed on Bursa Malaysia are Sharia-compliant. These Sharia-compliant companies prohibit activities in collection of interest or riba, contractual uncertainty or garar, gambling or maisir, and other non-permissible activities. For investors seeking Sharia-compliant products, Bursa Malaysia now brings a new and innovative platform, Bursa Malaysia I, the world's first end-to-end Sharia-compliant investing platform and a marketplace for trading of Sharia-compliant capital market investment instruments. The platform incorporates a full range of exchange-related services, including listing, trading, clearing, settlement, and depository. Through the Islamic participating organizations or Islamic brokers, investors are able to trade Sharia-compliant securities listed on the main and ACE markets on Bursa Malaysia I platform. The trade and post-trade services provided by Bursa Malaysia I are also Sharia-compliant. Bursa Malaysia I offers a wide range of Sharia-compliant products, including stocks or iStocks, exchange-traded funds or IETFs, real estate investment trusts or IREITs, and exchange-traded bonds and sukuk or ETBS. With a wide range of Sharia-compliant companies listed on Bursa Malaysia, investors can now choose to invest in various types of industries such as consumer products, industrial products, trading and services, properties, technology, construction and plantation. To start your investment in Sharia-compliant securities, call your Bursa Malaysia I Islamic Participating Organisation to open a CDS and Sharia-compliant trading account. Register and activate your Bursa Malaysia I account. Your Islamic Participating Organisation will guide you on how to conduct trading activities through Bursa Malaysia I. Trade the Bursa Malaysia I way. Start investing and trading with your CDS and Sharia-compliant trading account. Join this exciting Sharia-compliant investing and trading on Bursa Malaysia I. Live responsibly. Invest responsibly. Invest Sharia.
Okay. All right. That's all for the topic. I open for the Q&A session. I pass to the moderator.
Thank you very much to Dr. Junaida. Based on the sharing just now, I believe capital market is, as mentioned by the panel before, is something that is not an alien in the Islamic world. And it's very crucial for us to have a deep and robust knowledge in this Islamic capital market. Okay, with that, on behalf of the organizer, we would like to express our deepest gratitude to Dr. Junaida binti Abu Saman for extending us new knowledge of the topic on an overview and regulation of Islamic capital market. Without further ado, let us participants, if you do have any questions, you may raise your hand and turn on your microphone or use the chat box provided to ask the question. Prior to delivering the question, please introduce your name and university or institutions. Okay, from the chat box, I can see Nadia. She said, yeah, it is the fact that high risk provide high return. And if I'm not mistaken, too much risk also not good, right? So do you mind to share which investments that you might prefer? Either it is. Okay, Dr. Junaida, maybe you can explain a little bit on this question.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Nadia, for the interesting questions. It's a very good question. It seems that Nadia have the intention or interested to invest in the Islamic capital market. That's good. Okay, all right. So what is the interesting aspect of individuals who want to participate in the Islamic capital market? Basically, we have so-called the assessment of risk appetite. Okay, investment of risk, assessment of risk appetite. Okay, so we ourselves as individuals who want to really participate in this Islamic capital market, want to invest our money in the Islamic capital market, we ourselves need to determine whether we are a risk taker, we are moderate or low risk taker. Okay, it depends on us. Okay, so if let's say we want to for the beginning, okay, as a beginner, normally most of the time this is in the perspective of individual. Okay, it is not in the case of institutions. Okay, so of course the institutions or the organization, the aspect of the risk understanding and risk undertaking would be of course different, with more on the technical statistical element of risk aspect and being applied before they enter or they involve into any of trading or investment activities. When we talk about individual perspective, okay, we need ourselves to do the risk assessment whether we are a low risk taker, moderate or high risk. Okay, so there are variety of instruments that been provided in the Islamic capital market, as mentioned earlier, from stocks to mutual fund, okay, IREIT, okay, Islamic real estate trust investment. Okay, so the most commonly invested by our common people would be stock. Okay, would be stock or shares. Okay, and even stock or shares is actually fall under lower risk of kind of investment. But if we are smart enough, we can actually gain lots of returns from it. Okay, so that it's require, you know, skills, investment skill, of course, investment skills, how to, you know, play around. Okay, for the normal person, somehow they can directly, as mentioned earlier, most of the time, if someone really interested to make to raise their capital, to make return from the investment in Islamic capital market, they really look into the ups and downs of the market share on daily basis, even every second. Okay, they will be in front of the laptop, looking into the fluctuation of the price, and they can have a very good time where to buy and sell, and they can get a huge advantages on that particular basis. Okay, but most of the time, people are working, they have the main job they need to do, but they have the interest to get a return from the investment in capital market. That is why they somehow hire or go to the Islamic fund management companies. Okay, so where they just give the money to these fund management companies, and the companies will, you know, on behalf of us, we invest our money to any of the instrument or platform under the equity or the sukuk market. Okay, again, based on our risk appetite. Okay, even if we go into the formal platform, which means under the fund management companies, even they have a formal form for us to fill up to ensure that we actually fall under which category of risk taker, and then they will manage our fund based on our risk appetite. If based on the assessment we are moderate, then they will choose the fund that will achieve our objective or our target to invest in the instrument or platform that have lower risk or moderate risk. Okay, if we are high risk, then they will, you know, manage our fund to invest in the other platform that might have the most of the time, although we have the high risk taker, we are a high risk taker, the equity market would be, you know, is a very safe. It is combination, especially on the mutual fund, combination of the high risk instrument together with low risk instruments, so that we have this diversification of risk, so that if it is lost, we are not totally lost. Okay, we still have a gain or return from that particular investment. Hopefully I answer the question forwarded by Nadia just now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Junaida. So what I can conclude, a short conclusion from the explanation given by Dr. Junaida before, it depends. I mean, in terms of investment, it very depends on individual or organization based on their risk appetite. Okay. If I can share a little bit of my experience, as I do invest in robo-advisor such as Wahid Invest and Raise. So before we determine which portfolio that suits us, we have to take some assessment. So from the assessment, they will help us to decide which portfolio is suit us. Okay.
Wow, that's
I think
great.
the time
Well
is
done.
due to the time being very limited, I think that is the only question that we can entertain. So with that, I would like to thank you to our panel, Dr. Junaida, for the answer discussed during the Q&A session just now. We truly appreciate her time spent on sharing her knowledge and opinion about today's topic. On behalf of the organizer, we value the question and problem that have been given, as it further enlightened us on the topic discussed. We sincerely hope all the knowledge gained throughout this webinar will benefit us in the future. With that, we will end our Q&A session here. As a saying goes, to every beginning, there is an ending. We bid our sincerest appreciation and utmost thanks to our respected panel, hosts, and university mates that are willing to spend their time to join this webinar. Representing SecuriFam, I hope that all students can make use of the knowledge that they have gathered during this program for their benefit in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, well, I believe that we have finally come to the end of our webinar. It has been a great day and a wonderful morning with all of you. Again, thank you for your presence. I hope that all my mistakes and shortcomings can be forgiven. We close this webinar by reciting Tasbih Kafarah and Surah An-Nas. All of the participants may fill the Google form for the record of attendance. You may find the link provided in the chat box. Okay, now we would like to take a group photo, and I hope all of the participants can open the camera to capture these memorable moments. Okay, everyone can open their camera. Maybe we can give about 5 seconds to everyone to prepare. Okay, I can see Fakro, Nadia, and maybe some more, if they want to open the camera. Okay, I will count. 1, 2, 3, smile. All right, one more. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, the last one, freestyle. 1, 2, 3. Okay, very supporting. Okay, see you later in the next slot with the title of Sustainable Development of Islamic Capital Market Globally. Thank you and have a nice day.
Okay, thank you so much.